Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Football.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Football pregame show presented by our friends over at Bet Saracen. Click the link below and it'll take you right to download the Bet Saracen app and use the code INSIDEAR to get $125 when you bet $25. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis. I'm getting you geared up for Arkansas and Auburn happening today in Fayetteville, Razorback Stadium at 11:45 a.m. on the SEC Network. But guys, officially game day. The Hogs are back at home. We've talked about this game a lot, but how are we feeling here on this Saturday, on this game day, potentially rainy game day as well?
Could this be the first day in a long, long time that we get to talk about a winner in a post-game show? Could this be it? People are talking out there. I actually heard Josh Pate calling Bobby Petrino potentially the angel of death for the rest of the season, because he could effectively fire Hugh Freeze. He could potentially fire Brian Kelly, and he could ruin the playoff hopes for Steve Sarkisian and Eli Drinkwitz the rest of the way. But it's not going to happen unless it starts today. So Arkansas has a good opportunity to win a football game. Will they do it? Who the heck knows, man? But I am looking forward to watching this one and seeing what happens.
Listen, no matter what, if you beat another SEC football team, Houston Nutt taught me when I was a young boy, you take those, you never take those for granted. Those precious SEC wins, you take them any way you can get them, on the road, at home, against a good team, bad team, whatever. You're right, man. That's what's exciting. Is like we're waking up today and we're like, hey, man, like this could be a day where Arkansas wins a football game, which technically could be any of these Saturdays, but it's more likely. And it's weird that this season hasn't gone well for Arkansas, but it still has felt like every single game has a massive stakes around it. And this one especially, maybe more so in terms of Auburn maybe firing their coach, and will this affect Bobby Petrino's status? But I'm baffled at how every week it feels like a big game when Arkansas is playing, despite them being 2-4, 2-5, whatever. But I feel like this is a big day for Bobby Petrino to kind of solidify his claim as one of the top candidates for this head coaching job. We'll see how that plays out, and it's a big case for Hugh Freeze to make one last stand for Auburn. Will he kind of push back against this narrative and throw a wrench in all of our plans?
Yeah, I look at this game, and it's unfortunately Arkansas has been in way too many of these types of games where it might be the most interesting game between two winless teams in the SEC, because it is pretty interesting for all the wrong reasons. But both Arkansas and Auburn looking for the first SEC win. The line has been moving a little bit around on Bet Saracen, but it's really close to a pick 'em no matter what. Arkansas seems to be the favorite, but as we know, Arkansas loves those one possession losses. So it's going to be really fascinating to see how this all plays out. And we'll also later in today's show hear from Taylor Korn, who covers all things Auburn Tigers, get a little preview of what the Tigers are dealing with, not only on the field, but also with their coaching situation with Hugh Freeze, because this could be the last hurrah for him. But either way, Arkansas, Auburn happening. Somebody's got to win. And we have an idea of what's the situation when it comes to who's going to play. Obviously, the big news of Cam Ball being out. And let's go ahead and get into our player challenges here. We always like to challenge a few players, and I'm going to go ahead and kick this one off. This one may be the low-hanging fruit in the way of the story, but give me Caleb Wooden. Give me Caleb Wooden. Arkansas's defense across the board has not been good. There's not really been one redeeming quality. It's not like it was in 2022 of, oh man, the pass defense is terrible, but how about those sacks? Or, oh man, the rush defense is terrible, but how about those takeaways? Nope. None of that. There's just not really one redeeming quality, and it's been tough, and it's really hard to have any faith or any confidence in this defense. We'll see about what they do today against Auburn's absolutely horrendous offense. Maybe they could build some confidence. But, Caleb Wooden was one of the guys, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the first players we heard from after the firing of Sam Pittman in that press conference. And I remember just kind of being so interested about how these players are going to handle this. Caleb Wooden really impressed me. And he's talking about adversity, talking about, dealing with these things. But he's like, hey, it's the way of the business. And, we're going to keep it going. It's like, I liked hearing that. And I know he was at the Catfish Hole earlier this week. And also he played at Auburn. He came from Auburn. He has a lot of connections there. And so my challenges to him is anybody on the defense, if they step up, it's going to be great. But I would love to see somebody like him have that type of game, have a takeaway, get a pick. And how cool would that be for him to get that pick where their defense has been struggling against the team that he left, and to also be like the first takeaway Arkansas's had in over a month, it feels like. I mean, it would be so cool to have it happen. I think it would be a great spark. It'd be a great spark for him. It'd be a great spark for the defense. So I'm going to challenge Caleb Wooden to step up, be that guy, take it out on your former team and show them that, hey, you made the best decision, even with all the chaos around here, the best decision to come to Arkansas and to prove all your haters wrong. So Caleb Wooden has got my guy I'm challenging.
I like that. Wage war on War Eagle, your former
Yes.
team, man. Good on you. That's a good one right there. Honestly, all these challenges should probably go, for a defensive player. That's where, I mean, it's kind of the low hanging fruit, right? Of like, good grief, anyone maybe would be nice here. And for me, I hate to be that guy, but like, I feel like I've kind of given up hope on that getting a whole lot better. I hope that it does. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to go over to the offensive side of the ball because I think about some of the things Petrino said in terms of, man, any drive where we don't score a touchdown, it really decreases our chances of winning. I agree. It's kind of been that way. And I've challenged Taylon Green on different weeks, and I'm not going to do that today. Mike Washington, I feel like he's good for it, man. I'm okay with that. Omega Blake, I think, you know what you're going to get out of him. Rohan Jones, you feel pretty confident in what you're going to get out of him. What I am going to do is issue a challenge to two guys, Corey Robinson and Amarian Harris, as your tackles. And the reason I'm doing that, I think it's going to be very important to keep Taylon Green as upright as possible in this game. And if you look at Auburn with Keldrick Falk and Kieran Crawford, they've got two guys coming off the edge who are really, really talented. And they can be, game wrecker type guys out there. So doing their job, keeping Taylon Green clean and upright, that's going to drastically decrease the amount of turnover potential that Arkansas has in this game. We don't know if they're ever going to get another takeaway. It's been a minute, as we've been told, but you can't have too many giveaways in a game like this because you feel confident about Arkansas's ability to move the football and potentially score on anyone as long as they don't give it away. So I think that's big. We've also seen, even in games where Arkansas does a good job of limiting the turnovers, they have those drive-killing sacks where Taylon loses 18, 20-plus yards on a single sack. It's ridiculous. Well, let's see if we can limit those defensive ends a little bit there for Auburn. So my challenges go to Corey Robinson and Amarian Harris for an Arkansas, offensive line that's been solid in pass protection all season, but they are coming off their worst graded game from that standpoint on PFF at least, and we'll see if they bounce back this weekend.
Yeah, Curtis, I also thought about the notion of should we all challenge the defense? Because clearly that's the unit that needs to step up. Then I thought for a while, man, I should probably challenge someone on the offensive side because if we're counting on this game being determined by the defense, it's not going to be good. So really the offense, like you said, has to score every possession. So I thought about this a little bit, but I finally settled on one specific player. And really we can go the entire position group if we want, but Quincy Rhodes Jr. is a guy that I'm challenging. And this is not a guy who has to be better at his job. Quincy Rhodes has been very good at his job. And in fact, it hasn't taken long for SEC teams to realize, hey, this Arkansas defensive line ain't got a lot of dudes. Here's one right here on the end, number 97. Let's make sure we got two guys here. Make sure we're chipping with a tight end. We got a running back in to protect or whatever. SEC teams have clearly gone out of their way to say, that's a guy right there that can get in the backfield. That's a guy right there that can cause some havoc. And he might be the only guy on this Arkansas defensive front that can do that. So I think that's why you've seen Quincy Rhodes be a little bit quieter the last few weeks than he maybe was earlier in the year when he had 5 sacks in the first 3 games or whatever it was. It's not like Quincy Rhodes forgot how to be good at football. These teams get to prepare for him as well, but I'm challenging him for a very obvious reason. We know Cam Ball's not going to be there at defensive tackle, who's been Arkansas's, 4-year starter, one of their more productive defensive tackles for whatever that's worth. So you're going to have some inexperience with Danny Saili and Ian Giffard are going to be there starting at defensive tackle. Neither of those guys have gotten in the backfield yet this year. We'll see what the defensive end spot looks like if it's Justice Boone there. If he plays some inside, who knows? But I think Quincy is kind of the only known commodity left on this defensive front. So he kind of has to be Superman. In a lot of these games, we go in and say, man, Taylon Green's going to have to put on his cape, and he's going to have to really carry Arkansas here. Quincy Rhodes doesn't have to carry Arkansas to a win, and I'm definitely not going to predict for you that this Arkansas defense is going to put together a complete 4-quarter football game, and they're going to all of a sudden be on their P's and Q's, and everything's going to be great. But you know what you can do as a defensive end? You just have to make 1 or 2 plays that can completely change the game. There's 1 3rd and 9 where Quincy Rhodes is able to get back there. Maybe he gets a strip sack. First fumble Arkansas will have ever forced ever on this defense. That could be the kind of thing that I'm looking for out of Quincy Rhodes today. And I would love for it to happen because, man, he's an awesome kid. He's an awesome player who's, I mean, if you took away the context of everything else, Quincy Rhodes is having an awesome third year as a Razorback where he's taken this massive step forward, and we're not able to really celebrate that because the unit around him is so bad. Nobody wants to hear any positive stories about the Arkansas defense, nor should they. So I got Quincy Rhodes. He's my guy, but I could have gone so many different directions with this.
How many times have we sat here, the three of us, and had the conversation about any SEC quarterback with any SEC receivers, if he's got time to sit and hang out and throw the football, he will pick you apart. That includes Jackson Arnold or whoever the heck plays quarterback for Auburn throughout the course of this football game. Through 3 SEC games, Arkansas has 1 sack. 1. That's unbelievable to me. The next closest is 5, by the way. That's Mississippi State. That's how far off the pace Arkansas is. They have 8 total tackles for loss in 3 SEC games. That is last in the SEC by a wide margin. They've got to be able to make those dudes uncomfortable back there and make some plays. I'm with you 100%. It's good call.
At least every now and then. Doesn't have to be every play, every drive. Every now and then, there's got to be a 3rd and 8 where Jackson Arnold feels some heat. Just every now and then, okay?
Is this
Curtis?
thing on?
I was going to say, I was just making sure we're on the same page. John, I think you are just 100% muted.
Okay. That's my bad.
We got him.
Yeah.
But
I was making
didn't
sure
say
I wasn't
that.
going crazy. I was looking at Curtis's face trying to figure it out. I couldn't tell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, it's apparently whenever I drop my pen, it hit my mic button. It doesn't matter. It was a really great point too. So I'm going to try to make it again. But either way, it was, to me, with Petrino, I think what he talked about after the game against Texas A&M, he was asked about the turnovers and getting takeaways. They're like, how do you do that? How do you do it? And his first thing was pressure. Get pressure on the quarterback. Pressure to make decisions, pressure to do this, pressure to do that, like just pressure. And so, it's amazing where it's like, well, why hasn't Arkansas got any takeaways? Well, as Curtis just mentioned, 1 sack, 5 tackles for loss. I mean, you're not getting any pressure. And, is Jackson Arnold a great quarterback in the SEC? No. But you know what will make him great is if it's skeleton drill out there where he's standing back there as long as he wants, waiting for one of these wide receivers to get open. And as soon as he sees them, he's there. Like, he's not a bum quarterback like any 3 of us just walking out there and being like, all right, I can do this. Like, he's a good quarterback when he has the time, when he doesn't feel any pressure. So you have to get pressure, because you get the pressure, it leads to the turnovers, leads to all the other stuff.
Dude, one of the knocks on Jackson Arnold is that he's like super hesitant to pull the trigger, so they get a lot of coverage sacks. Arkansas is going to put that to the test so much in this game. Like, how long will Jackson Arnold stand back there and not throw the football? We're going to find out Saturday for sure.
I will also say, since I'm doing the Quincy Rhodes bit here, the one thing that this Auburn offense has had success with is the QB run game. And Jackson Arnold had some scrambles, read option, all that. That's another thing. Usually when you're running that read option, you're leaving that end guy unblocked. Maybe Quincy Rhodes might just need to tackle both him and the running back there. But that could be the one thing where, like, this Razorback defense, we're like, oh, yeah, Jackson Arnold sucks. Yeah, but what if he runs for 120 yards, which he has done this year?
Yeah, it could absolutely happen. Could absolutely happen. Yeah, those are our player challenges. We'll also get into some bowl predictions that we're going to have here in this game between Arkansas and Auburn on the Inside Arkansas Football pregame show presented by Bet Saracen. But want to remind everybody that Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas is going to have you covered this Christmas season when it comes to getting your house all lit up and looking great, being the talk of the neighborhood. They're the ones to call. If you're in the Northwest Arkansas or River Valley area, they do a great job of not only making your house look awesome, but be talked about. They're really easy to work with. They make the estimations really fluid, and they give you a full setup of what your house is going to look like, where you can choose any of the colors, any of the patterns that you want. It's all the way to look at it. So they install the lights, they provide the materials, they do all the hard work. You just have to sit back, relax, and watch the pros do it best. So give our guy Brett a text today at 479-459-1380. That's 479-459-1380. You can also check out their website at walterchristmaslighting.com or check out their Facebook page by scanning that QR code on your screen. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. Okay, guys, so looking at the bowl predictions for this Razorback game, it's almost funny because I feel like where my mind went will be defense, even though it's like, why would I do that? But I'll have Curtis start us off with the bowl predictions for this game against Auburn. So Curtis, what do you think? What are you going to go out on a limb? What's one bowl prediction that's surefire to go right for this one?
Okay, I think I have an interesting one here. I was just doing some math, and negative plays, sack, TFL, whatever. Arkansas has 17 yards worth in SEC play. And it's just wild to me to see everybody like Oklahoma at the top with 166. Like it's just it blows me away where we're at with this defense. But with that being said, and we just talked about takeaways and everything like that, my bold prediction is that Arkansas will have both a takeaway and a sack in this football game, and they'll still lose.
Is that really? That's really where you went. I was. It's crazy, Curtis. I was going the exact same direction. I was going to say you get multiple sacks and at least one turnover.
Okay. Well, I added the loss in there, so you can.
Well, I do have Arkansas winning. Spoiler alert for at the very end. I do have Arkansas winning. I've got to filibuster here and come up with a good one on the fly.
Would you like me to go first, Andrew, so he gives you some time?
No, you go ahead. I mean, that was literally going to be my bold prediction. I was going to be like, man, Arkansas hasn't gotten to the quarterback much. They haven't forced any turnovers. I think they do both of those things in this game, and Curtis just stole it right out from under me.
Snipe you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm about to say it must be a good one then if you both are going with it. But I'll go ahead and do it because mine's going to be on the offensive side. Arkansas offense the past 2 games has been really effective. You could make the argument, and I don't even know if it is an argument, that Arkansas's offense played their best game was against Texas A&M. I mean, just no turnovers, scored 42 points, just was clicking on all cylinders. But this Auburn defense is another animal. Absolutely. They do not give up a whole lot of points. In fact, in SEC play, the most points they've given up is 24 to Oklahoma, 23 to Missouri, 20 to Georgia, 16 to Texas A&M. And even before that, 24 points was the most that they gave up to Baylor. So to me, it's going to be about this unstoppable force, immovable object. What's going to happen? Here's my bold prediction. Arkansas not only scores the most points against Auburn that any team has this season so far, Arkansas scores more than 40 points against the Auburn Tigers on Saturday. And here's my reasoning behind it. I'd love to sit here and say it's because of this matchup that I found in here, and that's the wide receiver going up, the slot guy going up against the nickelback. And nope, here's why. I believe, I'm hopeful, but I believe this is the let go of the rope game for the Auburn Tigers. I think that all it's going to take is the coin flip happens, Arkansas wins the toss, and we know how Bobby's going to do it. He's going to receive it. And they're going to get that kickoff. And they're like, all right, well, Auburn's defense. And Bobby's going to have just a chef's kiss, methodical opening drive right down the field, passing, running, doing whatever he wants, scores a touchdown to start, and they let go of the rope. The defense finally is like, all right, we're done. We're not going to hold on to this anymore. Maybe it takes a little bit more. Maybe one of those turnovers or sacks happens for Auburn, and they're just like, we can't do this anymore. And I think once they let go hard. And it is just Bobby's cooking them. And as you know, Bobby's he won style points too, not for the BCS bowl games, but he wants those style points for the coaching job. So I think my bold prediction is that Arkansas as an offense scores in regulation over 40 points in this game.
I like that, John. I'm also on firm let go of the rope watch. And, that may be an optimistic thing as a Razorback guy looking into this saying, hey, I think the team is going to quit. I want to make it clear. I don't think it's going to be because I think Arkansas breaks their will and they lose their will to compete because they're so scared of this Razorback team. I just think this is an Auburn team, like you said, that's kind of looking for a way out. They're kind of looking to see, is that door open? Is that window open? Could I fit through that window there? They're kind of looking for a reason to check out, and we'll see if Arkansas is able to give it to them. But I'm with you, John, that I don't think it's going to take like a mountain worth of adversity for this team to kind of realize, all right, it's over. We always do the thing of the "we're back, it's over," kind of memes. I think Auburn is very clearly like going to be teetering in on that all day long on and see how this works. But I'm glad you let me filibuster, or that you filibustered a little bit so I could come up with my other bold prediction. The one I have is actually a pretty good one. I think for the second year in a row, we will leave the Auburn game where Arkansas has beat Auburn, and it will be abundantly clear for everyone that Auburn started the wrong quarterback, and that directly contributed to Auburn losing the game. I think they will start Jackson Arnold in this game. I think he will stink in this game. I think they will eventually go to the Daniels kid from Stanford, who isn't that great, but against this Arkansas team, I think is going to kind of take their run game to a different level, even though Jackson Arnold has been good with his legs. And I think they're going to have some success in the second half, but it might be a little bit too little too late. And we will leave this game saying, dang, had they started that Daniels kid, this is a completely different thing. I think that's going to happen 2 years in a row. It happened last year with Peyton Thorne, where he comes in the second half and looks awesome against that Arkansas defense, which we all knew secretly wasn't very good. And you kind of think, man, if they had started him, they'd probably win that game at Auburn last year. I think it's going to happen again with the Daniels kid. It's going to be like a great value version of it.
Yeah, I could see that happening. What was that guy's name last year? Hank Brown? Was that the guy?
Brown was the starter.
Oh man, that was thank you, Hugh Freeze, for that one.
Hey,
that
cover your drinks. Cover your drinks. You remember?
Yeah, jeez, man. Golly. Yeah, that was a wild time. And that's what and I guess with going back to my point of the give up or the let go of the rope, it's a hopeful thing for me just because I'm like, man, Arkansas did that against Notre Dame. So, let this team do it too, and let it be against Arkansas. Because I didn't want the interim bump. Like they would have fired Hugh Freeze this past weekend and then elevated DJ Durkin or something. I didn't want that bump. I want this to be the game where they take the will of the Auburn Tigers and Hugh Freeze, and they say, "Ha, see, you can go ahead and fire. You can go ahead and let go of the rope. We're still fighting for something over here." So that's what I'm hopeful for. And also, it'd just be nice to have a home game that's not only a win but a nice, comfortable SEC win. Because I literally cannot remember the last time that happened. So either way, should be pretty fascinating. And I'm sure those bold predictions, all of them are going to come true, even though I guess technically that's impossible. They can't. But still, we're going to see which one plays out there. And we're going to get a little bit into our prop bets because there's some good ones going on here in the Arkansas-Auburn game. And of course, you need to do all those prop plays, all your sports betting with the number one sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. It's Bet Saracen, the official presenting sponsor of us here at Inside Arkansas and the Inside Arkansas Football pregame show. Be sure for all of you looking to get in on the game and win some big money to do it by clicking the link below in the description. You click that link below, or you can scan that QR code on your screen. It's going to take you right to the Bet Saracen app, and it's going to say, hey, download me. And you hit the download button. And when you download it, it's going to pop with another screen. And it's like, hey, before you get to betting, be sure to enter in a code. Well, your code's going to be Inside AR. If you enter in that code, Inside AR, you'll be able to bet $25 and get $125. So if you feel like the Razorbacks are going to wreck shop against the Auburn Tigers and you like the line or you like the money line or the spread or anything like that, just say, hey, I'll put $25 on it. And they'll be like, great, here's another 100. Here's $125 you can bet. So go ahead and bet the farm on it. But you can only do it Bet Saracen. You can only do it with that exclusive code. So do it today, right now. Scan the QR code or click the link below and get to betting with that code Inside AR, where you bet 25, get 125 with Bet Saracen. All right, guys. So there's always fun to look at these prop plays. I will admit, just for my sake, every game, I guess we're over halfway season. So it's like 7 games in. I have won a prop bet on 5 of the 7. I'm hoping to keep that going, but this one is going to be a tough one for all the weirdest of reasons. So, but Andrew, I'll go ahead and have you kick us off for what prop play you like the most from Bet Saracen.
Let me ask you guys, because I never want to do the thing where I list off 12 things and, then everything you were going to say falls under that category. Can y'all just tell me, because I have 4 Taylor Green props written down, Rohan Jones props written down. So if y'all have either one of those guys, I'll avoid them.
Well, I have both, but I also have another one, a different one.
Okay.
So
well, the one that I kind of like leaning towards, I almost made this my challenge, Omega Blake, just because I think this is going to be a game where obviously you're going to need to score. Every single game that Arkansas plays, they're dependent on their offense. I always kind of just proactively look at Omega Blake. He's the top dog of this wide receiver room, without a doubt. He's been really good, and I feel like I want to say Omega Blake's been like quietly one of the best receivers in the league. I think him and Mike Washington are on track for all SEC type of seasons, and I don't think we are really even talking about them like that or anyone else. But Omega Blake on Saracen, there's a couple different props. I think 3 different ones. The one that I like is for Omega Blake to catch a touchdown and have over 14.5 yards per reception. That's plus 210. The yards per reception, I feel like, is kind of a lock. And he catches a touchdown more often than not. I feel like it's just one of those things. It's like in the NFL, I always think Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown is always a lock anytime the Eagles play because they're going to run the tush push. I feel like if Arkansas is going to get in a game that has any points whatsoever, there's a decent chance Omega Blake is going to have to catch one of those touchdowns. So I like that one. And another one I like is Braylon Russell. 7 carries, over 6.5 carries, over 35.5 yards, plus 350 on that. And that's just like not a crazy game for him. Like he only had 4 or 5 carries last week. So he's going to have to get the ball a little bit more, but like 7 carries for a guy that we hear every week that they want to get him the ball. Well, you can get it to him 7 times, right? And you just have to average about 5-6 yards a carry. Let's make that happen. Plus 350.
Took mine, but that's okay. Because I got some other ones too. I knew it was going to happen. So I heard Braylon Russell. I'm like, oh crap.
I left you Mike Washington on purpose. I thought that's what you were doing.
No, that's fine, because I had another Braylon Russell one actually that I did like. Was actually for Braylon Russell over a half reception and over 7.5 total yards receiving. Because I think that if this defense is going to start getting after Taylor and putting some pressure, you're going to see some screens. And I think that that's actually close to one of the same prop bets I had in the Tennessee game that ended up paying out for me. And so I really like the fact that there could be some running backs getting involved in the passing attack. And you're talking about just, hey, one catch and get almost a first down, and boom, there you are. You got it. So I like that one. And the other one that I like, as weird as it is, Raylan Sharp's been getting a lot of love here since Bobby has taken over. I don't know if that's on purpose. I don't know what's been going on there, but at plus 200, Raylan Sharp over 4.5 receiving targets. So not catches, just being targeted 5 times, and then 29.5 yards after catch. I think that there's also going to be some possible screen plays, maybe a quick out route there, something to where he's going to get the ball in his hands and take off, because we know explosive plays is what Arkansas does. So I like that one. Raylan Sharp, I think, continues on. Give me him at plus 200 for that one.
I like that. Looking at the more of the long shots, but one that has my interest at least. 1+ field goal in each quarter in this football game at plus 1,300. I think that's really interesting for me because Auburn can't score, but I think they will move the ball on Arkansas's defense. So probably some opportunities there. And then on the flip side, we feel confident that Arkansas should be able to move it on anybody. And on everyone, they've been able to move it between the 20s for sure. I feel like Auburn has a good enough defense to tighten up down around the red zone and maybe put Arkansas in a position there to have to kick a couple field goals. So I don't think that one's crazy. So I might sprinkle in on that plus 1,300. Why the hell not? But then, I'm always going to go back to the well with my man Rohan. I just am.
He's a cash cow.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, he's bailed me out many weeks here. Over 2.5 targets and 25.5 yards after the catch at plus 250. I think he's going to be targeted at least 3 times in this football game. And it seems like he's good for at least one catch where there's nobody within 15 yards of him. He can just run for a while in these games. So I think he would be able to get that pretty easily. The other one, if you think he's going to score, receiving tutty and 19.5 per reception at plus 450. I don't hate that one for the same reasons, is that he's going to have one long play from scrimmage. It's going to bump that per reception up. And if you think he's going to get in the end zone, plus 450, good value there.
I like that. The Talon props that I mentioned, and a lot of these, by the way, they do similar ones, like the Rohan Jones ones. They've done similar props. Yeah. We bet it every week. It hits every week. They've gotten that yards per reception up to 20 because they're trying to chase it. Because I don't know what his average yards per reception is for the season, but it's damn near 30 yards per reception. It's unreal. He had 2 for 51 last week, I believe. But in terms of Talon props, if you're interested in that kind of thing, which Talon has actually been a little bit of a cash cow himself, and he's hit some big ones. The biggest odds one, plus 650 for Talon Green, 272.5 passing yards, 74.5 rushing yards. Last week, this one was 66.5 rushing yards, something like that. He got it pretty easily. The yardage for passing was lower, so it's better, more yardage against a better defense, but 273 passing, 75 rushing. That sounds like a lot of yards, but Talon literally does that pretty much every single week, honestly. I know this Auburn defense is good, but plus 650, I like those odds a lot. I like this one. It's plus 135, not nearly as crazy odds. Talon Green, 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown. That's it. You just got to do both. And, he's had some games where he'll have 4 passing, 0 rushing, or 1 passing, 3 rushing, or something like that. Just one of each, plus 135. But I think my favorite one that I think is the most lock, plus 115, Talon over 62.5 completion percentage and over 29.5 yards longest pass. Arkansas completes a big pass every game, like you mentioned, Curtis.
Yeah.
130-yard pass, complete 63%, just a very fair percentage, plus 115. I love that.
Yeah, that's that was the one that I had written down for him. I like that. And to verify your stat there, Rohan Jones, 31.2 yards per reception this season. He
And
has
it's not
9
like he's
catches.
caught 3 passes. It's not like it's 3 for 95. Like he's
Right.
caught like 12 passes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like the Crosby Tuck. I don't know if anybody remembers that reference.
The first
But back
touchdown
in
scorer
07,
of 2007, John. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, freshman who just like had, I think he had 9 catches on the season, but 8 of them were long touchdowns. Like for whatever reason, it's just crazy. But real quick though, Curtis, the one you liked, which I really like too, the field goals to be scored in each quarter. It's like I like to combo them because it's like, oh, if that happens, and this other one probably happens at plus 900, each team to score 2 touchdowns or more and 2 field goals or more. For plus 900, I'm comboing that because I'm like, I know that I think field goals will be scored, and I think the field goal per quarter is nice there, but both these teams are getting in the end zone. And I think Auburn, even as bad as their offense is, as bad as Arkansas's defense is like they're going to get 2 touchdowns. I truly believe that they're going to get 2. So like the combo there.
It sounds like it would have to be a shootout, but it's like a 23-20 game would accomplish that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So there's some of our prop plays, and remember to do it with Bet Saracen, Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. But we also want to get a little Auburn preview, and we'll do that here with our friend Taylor Korn in just a second. But want to remind everybody that OZK Insurance has you covered when it comes to all things dealing with insurance. That's why we recommend them. That's why we use them. That's why we love them, because they're based right here in Arkansas, and they make insurance simple again. As a 100% independent agency, they shop the entire marketplace to deliver the best combination of cost and coverage, which saves you both, of course, time and money. Whether it's home, auto, boat, motorcycle, life, or commercial insurance, their friendly team has access to a wide range of flexible options designed just for you. They serve the Northwest Arkansas and Central Arkansas area, including Bentonville, Centerton, Fayetteville, Little Rock, Hot Springs, and Springdale, and beyond. I mean, they're all over the place. So OZK Insurance is the trusted advisor you never knew you needed. They have over 600 5-star Google reviews. 600. That is 600 people that said not only are they good, they're the best. So that tells you all you need to know. So start today with a free online quote at ozkinsurance.com or call 479-715-4200. That's 479-715-4200. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. And without further ado, let's go ahead and hear from Taylor Korn talking about all things Arkansas Auburn, but also the situation Auburn finds themselves in with Hugh Freeze. We know Arkansas and Auburn happening this Saturday. The battle between 2 0-4 teams, very similar in the way that they've lost games, but very different. A lot riding on this game for many different reasons, so I feel like we can only talk about it in one way, and that's by welcoming in our very friend that's been a long time since, I guess, SEC football media days. It's Taylor Korn, who is of Cover Crimson and The Barn, knows all things about everything going on in college football in the state of Alabama, at least. But Taylor, as always, it's good to talk with you. Appreciate you joining us. How you doing?
I've been better. I think I, once again, had unrealistic expectations heading into the season. I always convinced myself, I'm like, this is it. This is the year that something special is going to happen. And I tend to get disappointed. So I guess it's nothing that I shouldn't have expected. But aside from Auburn's offense, I'm doing great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to say that's why we get along so well, is because you understand the pain and sorrow that a lot of us go over here in Arkansas, but it's different. It's y'all's offense that's putrid, and it's our defense over here that's putrid. So we'll start with Auburn, though. I mean, Hugh Freeze is still the coach. It's not gone well, but just kind of walk us through so far this season and why it hasn't gone well, what the expectations were like, and why Auburn is sitting here at 0-4 so far this season.
So I think that the expectations were from the fan base were we need to see improvement. And a lot of people were saying 8 wins. We need to see an 8-win season, and then that will give everyone hope that we're moving in the right direction. And then we get to SEC Media Days, and Hugh Freeze at the main podium says, I think that we should be in the college football playoff conversation. And everyone's, kind of taken aback by that, like, okay, because the previous 2 years that for Hugh Freeze has been at Auburn, he's kind of tried to temper expectations, saying we're rebuilding. I think our team's going to be better than last year, but we still have some progress that needs to be made. So the way that he was approaching and addressing the fan base, the media, seemed very different. So I think that made the expectations grow, and rightfully so. You have a lot of talented weapons on the offensive side of the ball. And surprisingly, that is the side of the ball that people weren't really concerned about heading into the season, because the conversation around Jackson Arnold was he was Gatorade Player of the Year. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, and he was not in a great situation at Oklahoma. He had 3 different play callers. He had a rotation of offensive lines. All of his wide receivers were hurt. And look at this wide receiver room that we have. We got 2 of the best tackles out of the portal. We have a number of returners on the offensive line. We have a potential first-round draft pick at center. What could go wrong? And it hasn't worked out. The defense has been incredible. DJ Durkin is doing a fantastic job. There are a ton of true freshmen, true sophomores that are playing meaningful snaps on the defensive side of the ball and have looked really good doing it. So that, in a nutshell, that the expectation has kind of flipped. Heading into the season, it was, okay, we think our secondary is going to be really good. And then, you have Keldrick Falk, who is a trustworthy, dependable guy on the defense as well, but you don't really know what the defense as a whole is going to look like. Auburn typically has a pretty good defense, but the concerns under Hugh Freeze, who is supposed to be the quarterback guru and offensive mastermind, that's been the concern, and that's been the problem since he's been here. Auburn's defense has kept them in every single game, and there was I'm not going to go through it, but if you look for it on Twitter, for those who might be interested, a lot of Auburn fans probably want to avoid it because it's painful to read. But in the 4 SEC losses, Auburn has had the ball in their hand, I believe, a total of 10 times, either to take the lead or tie the game in the fourth quarter, at the end of the fourth quarter, and obviously has not been able to do so. So from the perspective of the outside looking in, it's just confusing because you have all the talent in the world. What's going on with Jackson Arnold? Where's the disconnect there? He threw his first interception this past weekend when Missouri came to town. He hasn't been turning the ball over, which plagued Auburn's offense last season. But there's no flow. There's no rhythm, and it doesn't seem like this offense has an identity. It's extremely frustrating to watch because the defense makes play after play, stop after stop, and then it's 3 and out on the offensive side of the ball. So you're putting your defense back out on the field, and if you don't put points on the board, you're not going to win a football game. So it's just been a cycle of frustration, and I think that's this past weekend is really when the fan base, I think it was the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of the coaching situation, because it's like Groundhog Day. You're watching the same thing happen Saturday after Saturday after Saturday, and it doesn't seem like any of the problems are getting solved. It's not like new problems are arising. We're seeing the same thing occur week after week.
Yeah, and I can understand that watching Auburn, the times that I have, losing to Missouri will always make somebody go crazy. But to do it in the way that it seems where, like the one possession games, as you brought up, Oklahoma 24-17, A&M 16-10, Georgia 20-10, 23-17 in double overtime. It's like Arkansas has been doing the same, but it's been about the offense. So I know you kind of alluded to it, but is it strictly just the offense, and has Auburn led in these games and they just haven't been able to hold on to the lead? Or has it been more of they're having to play from behind most of the time and they just don't have the offensive firepower in order to make it happen?
So at Georgia, versus Georgia at home, the Georgia game was at home, and the Missouri game, Auburn went into halftime. So let me just talk about the Georgia game specifically, because I think it's kind of a microcosm of a lot of what we've been seeing. So Auburn goes up 7-0, and at the end of the second quarter, heading into halftime, it was either right before or right after the 2-minute timeout, they're on the 1-yard line, and then it's the controversy that you couldn't have avoided seeing if you tried on the internet of was it a fumble, was it not a fumble, that could put you up 17-0. Assuming that Georgia doesn't get the ball back and go score. They call it a fumble, no touchdown. Georgia kicks a field goal, but you're still up. You still have a lead going into halftime. Now, Georgia does get the ball back coming out of half, but after that call was made, the call of this, the fumble, no touchdown, it seemed like that just kind of took over the minds of the offensive side of the ball. And this is just my opinion, but it seems like Hugh Freeze, ever since the Oklahoma game, when there were a lot of officiating mishaps, we can call them, which I personally am not of the belief that you can blame any of the losses on that, because that's part of the game. They're humans. The officials are humans. Can it be frustrating? Yes. But you can't depend on officials making the right call or calls going your way. And that's something that you can see watching Hugh Freeze's body language on the sideline. That frustrates him. And he himself said, and Keldrick Falk said, going into the second half of that Georgia game, that was just kind of dwelling over them. And it's like there was a cloud that they were stuck under and couldn't get out of it. And my opinion is that it stems from the body language that I've seen from Freeze at times on the sidelines, where it looks like he can't shake it either. Because in my mind, it should be, okay, if you want to go let the officials have it and lose your mind, by all means, let them know how you feel. But after that, it should be, let's use this to motivate the team. And then forget about it. It happened. It's over, and there's nothing that you can do about it. But he said, I didn't feel like that we played with as much energy and as much fire in the second half after that happened, because we did have the lead. But that's your job. At the end of the day, he's the head coach. So if he's seeing these things occur, and if he feels like the team's kind of hanging their heads or getting caught up in one bad call or one call that they feel like didn't go their way, then that's something that he has to fix, and he has to figure out how to make this team more mentally tough, which I think that the players are. It's a mess. It's a mess. So I don't even know if I've answered your question. They've had leads. And Auburn's defense hasn't given up many points. They haven't given up more than 24 points all season long. But you can't depend on them the entire game. The past two games, you can't score 10 points and expect to win a game. Your defense is not giving up an outrageous amount of points ever. They haven't all season. But the offense just simply can't get in a rhythm. And it doesn't seem like, this has been a big talking point since the end of the Missouri game, it doesn't seem like Jackson Arnold wants the ball in his hands. It doesn't seem like he's one of those guys that's like, hey, this is a winning drive. I have the opportunity to get on the field with this offense, take the ball down the field, and score to win this game. It just doesn't seem like that's the mindset. And again, that's from the perspective of people watching the game. None of us are in the huddle listening to these conversations, but the mindset of the offense and the mindset of the defense look very different. And I think it has to do a lot with DJ Durkin versus Hugh Freeze, because if you watch those two guys as coaches, they coach very differently.
Well, I will say that this game against Arkansas might be the time where I think both teams are looking at it, where they're both 0-4. And as I mentioned, Razorback offense is really good. Defense is the worst in the SEC. Auburn's defense is really good, but Auburn's offense might be the worst one in the SEC. The unstoppable force, even an immovable object. So, like, how do you think that this matches up for Auburn against Arkansas, especially on the road, and also kind of the impact that it could have on Hugh Freeze? Some people are like, hey, I can't believe he's still there, but is this one of those deals to where, hey, if you lose to Arkansas, it's when a move gets made, is going to be made later down the road? Just how do you feel about the overall game and impact of between the Auburn Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks?
I was expecting, which there was really no reason for me to believe this, but I was at the Missouri game, and leaving the stadium, I just had a feeling that Sunday was going to be the day that a change was made, because that's the fourth week in a row that you're seeing a lot of the same problems occur. That's the fourth week in a row that your defense is keeping you in the game. And that's the fourth week in a row that the offense can't get it done. And you're not seeing progress. You're not seeing changes made. And so I fully expected, I woke up Sunday morning and I was like, okay, well, I'm about to be on my phone all day waiting for this news to break. It didn't happen. And I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. It's so hard to get in the brains and to get a good feel for what the administration, the boosters, whoever has their hand in this decision is thinking about it. But I wouldn't, if Auburn does lose this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised if that was it for Hugh Freeze. I also think it depends on how the game looks, win or lose. But when Auburn has committed to running the ball in terms of the actual on-field game, they've had success. And that's also something that's been confusing to watch, is the fact that you have success doing, X, Y, or Z. Why do you go away from that? Last weekend, I think Auburn's running backs had 8 carries in their first offensive drive of the game. They scored a touchdown. And then the next 2 drives, which were, Jackson threw an interception, and then the following 2 drives were 3 and outs. And I don't believe that Auburn's running backs got a carry. Now, their second half looked a lot better, because second half of Georgia offense was not a thing. It was non-existent. The second half last weekend did look better, and Jeremiah Cobb ended up getting a decent amount of touches. He rushed for over 100 yards, and he has made an impact when he has the ball in his hands. But if they'll commit to running the ball, I think that will open up the opportunity for them to utilize the elite wide receivers. They have Perry Thompson, who's a true sophomore. Didn't see the field a ton last year, is starting to break out a little bit. He's had a good couple past few games. He looked really good this past weekend versus Missouri. So there are times, there will be a couple drives throughout a game where you're like, okay, we're moving the ball well, and then it just falls apart. I don't ever really worry about the defense completely falling apart. I feel like they've been pretty consistent. Third downs have been a little bit of a concern, a little bit of a struggle, giving up, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11. But it's not like that's plagued them. They're still able to, they've held every opponent, like I said, under 24 points throughout the season. So the confidence level in the defense in comparison to the confidence level in the offense, like you said, is drastically different. And it's hard to predict what you're really even going to see from the offense, because it's been a toss-up. They have no identity. It's been a toss-up. Every time they step out on the field, I think everyone in unison is sitting there thinking, all right, what are we about to see here? Because it's going to be a surprise to us all. So I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to have confidence in. And Hugh Freeze has kind of mentioned, we have Ashton Daniels prepared. He's ready to play. If things start to sputter, is what Hugh Freeze said yesterday. And the fans are like, start to? What do you mean start to? What has been happening the past couple of weeks? So I don't know. The starting center, Connor Liu, tore his ACL last weekend, so he's out. There's a chance that Cale Ellis, who is a true freshman that reclassified, so he's 17 years old, could be starting. Mason Murphy has also been taking snaps during practice at center. So it'll probably be a little back and forth between the two of them. Cale Ellis has played in a couple of games this season, and he's held his own surprisingly well considering how young he is. But there are just so many questions about this team on the offensive side of the ball. So nothing would surprise me, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be surprised from the Razorback perspective either. So before I let you go, Taylor, I just got to ask, because of the prediction, somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to get an SEC victory.
Yeah.
And it's, again, there's just a lot of things. And I feel like if Arkansas was the one to kind of be the final nail in the coffin for Hugh Freeze, it'd be kind of ironic that the last 2 coaches that have gotten fired from Auburn have been because Arkansas beat them. So it would be, I don't know if that should be a compliment or not, but either way, just how do you think that this plays out? Just looking at Arkansas, looking at Auburn, how do you think this game goes?
So there's been concern about, has Hugh Freeze lost the locker room? And talking to players after the Missouri game, and then the players also spoke to after practice, there's been a lot of positivity, which has kind of been surprising to me, because I feel like this is a time where it would be easy to lose your motivation, dare I say. But their mindset's very, very different. And Champ Anthony, who is one of Auburn's defensive players, he's a captain on the team, spoke after the game on Saturday and said, our tape is, this is not a quote, but more of a summary. He basically said, our tape is what gives us the opportunity to play at the next level. It's like, what makes anyone think that we're not going to come to practice. We're not going to play hard. So I don't think that that's necessarily a concern, the losing of the locker room, because that is something that a lot of people have been talking about. But I don't think that I can pick Auburn to win a game until they show me that they can. I know they won 3 games earlier this season. They started the season with a road win at Baylor, which gave everyone so much hope. It was, this is it. This is it. You know, we have arrived. We won our home or our road opener, and this is it. This is going to be a historic year. Everything's going to start coming together. But I don't think I can. I don't think logically I can pick them to win a game until the offense proves that they can score 20 points in an SEC game.
Yeah, it's hard to win if you can't score. You know, I hear that's the whole thing. So, right. Listen, it's going to be interesting for both teams. There's a lot riding on it for both teams. And who knows, knowing these teams and their situations, it'll probably be the most chaotic and ridiculous game of all time. And we just really don't know what to expect. But hey, it's going to be a lot of fun. As fun as 2 0-4 teams in the SEC can possibly be. But you can follow all things and check out all things, whether it comes to Auburn, whether it comes to Alabama. Best in the business, in my opinion. Of course, Taylor Korn of Cover Crimson and the Barn. As always, it's good to talk with you, Taylor. Enjoy the game. Try to get some sleep when you can. It's going to be just fine. And the coaching search, soak it all in. It's always going to be fun.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Best wishes to everyone out there that's dealing with these 2 painful to watch sometimes football teams.
All right. That was Taylor Korn of Cover Crimson, as well as the Barn, talking about all things Auburn, and appreciate her. And we'll get to our final predictions and our final thoughts here on the Inside Arkansas Football pregame show presented by Bet Saracen. But I want to remind everybody that if you need a place to watch the game, it could be for this Auburn game or the basketball game or anything like that. It's always going to be Goat Lab Red. That's your place you need to check out. It's the newest place in Fayetteville. And some of you today may be like, well, it's supposed to rain. I don't want to get out in the rain. Well, that's okay, because if you go to Goat Lab Red, which is pretty conveniently close over to Razorback Football Stadium, they'll have TVs, they have signature brews, they have signature burgers, they have all the great stuff, and they will be hitting it to you right there at 1214 North Garland Avenue in Fayetteville. So pregame, during the game, postgame, all the action happens at Goat Lab Red, so be sure to check them out, hang out, and be there. It's Goat Lab Red, your new game day tradition. So, fellas, Arkansas, Auburn, here we are. We've officially made it. 11:45 kick happening today on the SEC Network. We've talked about it. We've previewed it. We've given some thoughts on it. But just what do you guys think as far as your final predictions, how it goes, how it looks, the impact, all that great stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic going into this one. I really am, but I am going to stick to my guns here. I think this is going to be crazy. Like, it's a battle between the 2 most memeable coaches in the country. You know what I mean? It's like Bobby Petrino in the neck brace, Hugh Freeze in the hospital bed in the press box, if you guys remember that. It's going to rain again. Like, this game has to be weird, right? There's no doubt that that's going to be the case. And I agree, Andrew, with what you were saying earlier, and John, you too. Like, I think Arkansas has Auburn on blowout alert. I quit alert ahead of this weekend. You know, I heard what Taylor said there about the mindset, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm just to the point, fellas, where you got to show me after 5 straight weeks of the same old song. And I think we get a little bit stuck sometimes doing the thing where we want to look at the opponent and determine why they're going to lose. Like, Ole Miss is starting a D2 quarterback, and Memphis is a G6 school, and Notre Dame's defense is barbecue chicken, and Texas A&M is always going to go 8-4, and Auburn's about to let go of the rope. Okay, fine. A lot of that might be true, but the common denominator for Arkansas is that they play all these games and they lose them. And when Arkansas plays Auburn and is expected to beat them in Razorback Stadium, they don't. That's the way that this has been. So I'm actually going to stick with the patterns here until proven otherwise. I expect that to happen. And it's funny because I think in our preseason picks, both of you, I think, picked Arkansas to lose this game, and I wound up picking them to win. And I have a feeling that we might be reversed here. I don't know that for sure, but I have a feeling. But no, I've got Auburn winning 31-28, and I would love to be wrong about this. And at some point I will be. I'm not picking this football team to win another game until it happens.
You are correct about that. It is going to be an exact reverse here. I don't even remember my case for why I was like, yeah, Auburn would win this game. But I love that Curtis and Taylor both have that mentality of like, until I see this team win a football game, it's really hard to envision them winning. And I definitely think that this game is going to come down to which team is more committed to losing. Honestly, because these are two losing teams and losing programs right now that, both have that quit factor in them. Both of these teams have really, I would say Arkansas has actually shown more quit so far this season in that Notre Dame game. But like Auburn, you can tell, you can kind of sense it bubbling. When you're like in college and you get dumped and you're down in the dumps and you go to the bar and you're talking to that 38-year-old bartender that smells like menthols, and he's like, dude, you don't need a girl, man. You're fine. Like, just, you're young. You'll figure it out, man. And like, you kind of start looking at that bartender and you're like, yeah, but I don't want to be like you. Like, you're kind of like horrified by how much in common you have with this sad 38-year-old man. That's the kind of vibe we're going to have at Razorback Stadium today, and Curtis and I are going to carry that superpower with us of, we have been hurt and broken down. We have already accepted our place in this world. We already know the world sucks. We already know the SEC is hard. We already know that we can get beaten down. And we're sitting here mentoring this little Auburn team that is freshly getting their heart broken, because they went into this season, like Taylor was saying, thinking they might go to the playoff. Realistically, there were Auburn fans who thought they were going to go to the playoff. I mean, there was in Arkansas too, but I think that's the big thing here is like you have an Auburn team that is mentally broken. And for the analogy I used, the 38-year-old bartender, he's going to pick up Taco Bell and go home and be perfectly fine. That Auburn, or that 21-year-old, he's going home and crying himself to sleep. I think that's what we have here is you have an Auburn program who is kind of freshly realizing in real time that their program is screwed.
And it is screwed. It is screwed. So
got through that entire story. And
there he is.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
So wait, is it now time for me to make my actual prediction?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead before I say my number, because it is a jarring number. Curtis's prediction of 31-28 is probably more likely, honestly, and I wouldn't be surprised even in the slightest if I saw it. But I am going 44-17 Arkansas. I think this is the like John said, I think Auburn's defense, when they give up one score, they're going to realize, oh dang, we had to be perfect in this game. We're not perfect. This sucks. And Arkansas's offense has not been slowed down by really anybody outside of that Notre Dame game. And I just don't think Auburn is going to be able to play from behind. And I think we are on prime, let go of the rope watch.
Yeah. This one is tough for me because I know what my head says, but also what my heart says. But here's my thing is Arkansas last year won one SEC home game against Tennessee. The year before they won 0. Only game they won in the SEC was on the road to Florida. The year before that, they won 2. One was against Ole Miss at home, and the other one was in the early part of South Carolina. But the point is that you're going to be going on 4 seasons with only 4 SEC wins, and that ain't it. And that just can't be it. And I have a feeling that if you don't win this game against Auburn, I just don't know how you beat Mississippi State. It's not that Mississippi State's just this phenomenal team, and you ain't beating Missouri. If you just don't do it, you got to start somewhere, and it has to start in this game. And I want this for just all the home fans, all the people that are going to be there, for you guys that you're going to be there, for the crowd that's going to be there fighting off the rain once again, giving the benefit and the hope that, hey, this team, they were close these past 2 games. It's going to happen today. We're going to brave the elements. We're going to go out there. I really just hope that they finally get that and they finally get a home SEC win, because it does not happen very often.
By the way, I will say, because this is obviously a pregame show and there is a sequel to this that will happen later in the postgame show, the expectation matters. And I've been on the anti-Bobby side of this conversation a lot. I am giving Bobby Petrino a lot of benefit of the doubt in my prediction. I am giving this Arkansas offense a lot of benefit of the doubt in my prediction. So if the game plays out way different than I expect, you will see that reflected in the postgame show. I will be very annoyed if Arkansas lays an egg here in this spot. And I think you should be too.
Yeah, I think most people will be. But I think Arkansas gets it done. I do think that the Arkansas offense will outplay the Auburn defense. I talked about the let go factor. I think Auburn gets that, especially if they get worn down, because the defense is what's been making them hold on. But if Arkansas gets a couple possession lead in this one, if the offense is cooking in the beginning, it could get disastrous really quickly. So I say Arkansas wins it. They get their first win in a home SEC game since Tennessee last year. And I'm going to go ahead, and since I went with my bold prediction, I'm going to make it happen. 42-21, Arkansas beats Auburn. Sure, it'll go well. Sure, it'll be great for me.
Good Lord, boys.
I know.
See, I don't like my prediction as much now that I see John's prediction.
Yep, I had to stick with it. I had to have the consistency of my bowl prediction mixed with my other predictions. So, but here's the deal. I haven't been right all season long, except for thinking that they were going to lose a lot of these games. But I also didn't think that they were going to keep them close. So I don't know. I keep trying to play reverse psychology. I don't even know if that exists with this team. I really don't. But I'm sure it'll not go the way I want it to, because it never does. But hey, just get a win, so that way the post game can be fun or at least different, and just make it that happen. So that'll do it. That'll do it for us. Great pregame show presented by Bet Saracen. Be sure to bet with Bet Saracen on the Bet Saracen app and download it with the link below, as well as the QR code that was shown earlier, and use that code InsideAR, where you bet $25, you get $125, and we'll be right back here with Arkansas and Auburn post-game action on Inside Arkansas. That'll do it for us. For Andrew Ellis, for Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Enjoy the game, folks. We'll see you as soon as the final horn sounds between Arkansas and Auburn on our Inside Arkansas post-game show. Enjoy the Saturday, folks.